Okay.
Buenos dias, bienvenue, guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren.
Bonjour. Ah, nee, it's bonsoir where I am.
Здравствуйте, everybody.
Mm.
Hello, everybody. It's the Chloe Sanctuary, Cockitude. Welcome, welcome. Let me switch my camera angle so you can see the birds here. It just only takes 10 years with this app. We got Cecil today. Cecil bird. And KK, he's got his head in a cup. I don't know what that's all about. Sugarbird.
Mm.
Pip,
That's
pip,
true.
pip. Pip, huh? Lucy Bird and Snowball. Way in the back is Jasmine, the jazzy jazz bird. It's the calm before the storm right now, so he's being a bucket boy with a cup is what he's doing. I don't think you fit in there. I think you fit in that thing. He's been a buzzsaw. He went through, I made him 2 foot toys with about 2 feet of wood on them, and he buzzed those down in half an hour. Then he starts yelling at me. I want more. I want more. We need somebody just to make toys for you, buddy boy. Hello, Calvin. We're going to talk about, when we get some more folks in here, we're going to talk about doing that quick down and dirty exam every day. And what brought this to mind is Snowball has a little problem with the upper section of his beak. And it's hard to tell how it happened, but he had some of the skin flake off. So I'm having to put Silvadine on it. Which fortunately I was able to get on our vet appointment since we now have a local vet. So I had some, but it was out of date and I didn't want to use it. So I've got the right thing for him now. But if I wasn't doing those daily exams, I might never have caught it. It's not something that's it jumps out at you as a problem, right, Sugar? Right, Sugar Bird?
Mm.
Good. She's busy. Preening time. Cecil is preening. KK's still putting his head in a cup.
Cute
Big
bird
boy.
nose.
He's doing better now that I've reconfigured his cage, and I throw a big piece of architectural paper in there for him to chew up, and he cuts holes in it, and then he stares at you through the hole. This one, yeah, he gets a little off kilter if he doesn't have a piece of paper in there. Nice tail flash. I missed getting it on camera though. Could you do that again? One more time? No. No.
Oh, Shuggy. Oh, Pip.
It's Pip. Yeah, Pip.
She's so cute. And
She's been.
looks like that's her new sport. Since Lucy left that sport now, she seems to like it.
I think Lucy's a little unhappy that someone's sitting in her new spot, but
Oh,
you know,
Snowball.
yeah, Snowball's in her spot. She's
Mm.
got that grumpy look on her face.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that a little from my budgies. Sometimes they have issues when um, one budgie has his favorite sport, and then the other budgie comes and he has also a favorite sport, but that depends on where the other budgie sits. So
Hmm.
it's basically wherever the other budgie sits, that's the sport he wants to sit, and that's sometimes like okay, why? These budgies sometimes really silly.
You're all silly at some point. So are we. You're not going to do it
They
now. He
they
was good.
can they can also be extremely over polite. Once,
Hi, Hi,
um,
Falcon Sue.
yeah, hi Falconsoo. I think I graded her in chat. Yep, I did. Once I cannot remember where, but there were several budgies sitting all on one long perch, and one budgie who sat at the outer left wanted to walk on the perch to the outer right. So and what happened was that all the other budgies perching on that were basically flying around the budgie, walking from the left to the right, just so flying away. So he could basically cross and then sitting back on where they left. Instead of the one who wanted basically to cross them all, just fly to the end. But nope, they can be funny. And we have Regina M. Jankowski greeting us on Facebook saying, Simone also needs paper to shred or she gets very agitated. What a little shredder green Simone is. That's cool. Hi,
Yeah.
Regina.
Hi, Regina. Yeah, she's a real shredder.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Mander's not in here because he'd be horrified if he heard about Simone. So
Oh, my, still. Man, to get over it.
yeah, yeah, she's chased him all over the place.
Mander.
Well, one thing she taught the world when she did that is there is no dominance in parrots, right? Because you got a bird that weighs about 420, 430 grams chasing a bird that weighs 1100. Yeah, um, she's got a lot of attitude, kind of like kind of like Lucy. Lucy has a lot of attitude too. Did I mention you, Lucy? Yeah, I did. What are you snorting about over there? I
What a
know.
curious.
I
Oh, Pip.
ordered I ordered an additional humidifier to see if I can get the
Mm.
humidity up a little bit. It's been awfully dry lately. We're at about 30% in the house, and it really should be closer to 45.
Mm.
So I ordered another big commercial humidifier. Should be here today, actually. Yeah, they're predicting it's going to be about 40 degrees centigrade, 108 Fahrenheit. So be a little warm. Hey, could get pretty warm this summer. We're not even in summer yet. Come here. You're not eating my shoe. No, you're not. You're not going to eat it. No, you're not. No, you're not
We
allowing that.
have 56% humidity. It felt sometimes a little more during the day.
That's a little more than I can tolerate. I like it right around 35, but they like a little more humidity than that. So,
Yeah, the thing is, it also varies as I just look up a more detailed weather page. It says the maximal value measured was 98.
uh,
And somehow I have no idea, but it feels like being in the tropes of it.
yeah, the only time that ever happened here was the week after we moved in when it snowed. And we did have 100% humidity that day, but it snowed.
Mhm.
That,
The
don't
thing
you?
is, I realize that it's basically that kind of weather when I sit somewhere and sweat, then that's really, and I never did that before when I were somewhere else. So first I was like, am I sick? No, I'm not sick. It's the weather.
Yeah, it's if you feel like you're sweating here, that's you probably need to go to the hospital because with the kind of humidity we have outside, which is almost non-existent, when you sweat, it just disappears off your skin, which is good because it cools you down. But so if you feel like you're sweating, you better check yourself because something's wrong.
Mm, crazy.
Inside,
So
a little bit. We got enough
it feels
humidity inside
really cute
where
with that toy.
till he starts hitting you with it, you know. Yeah, right, Cecil? He's making his plans right now to come back and whack me with that thing.
Mm.
Aren't you, boy?
Or in when I visited the zoo last year, they have there a big building like a greenhouse, and it's a tropical. It should imitate a tropical climate, and therefore they just when we were in the middle of that building, it started to drizzle. So basically I have no idea when humidity falls under a certain percentage or so they start to drizzle. And it's super hot anyway in there, so that was like okay. But I think the flock would loved it.
Oh yeah, they're built for that kind of humidity. Yeah, no question about that.
Mm.
Well, we're going to talk about just a quick down and dirty physical exam today. So, you know, that's how you always should start something. Oh boy,
You
that's going to
know,
be
yeah.
one of that's going to be one of those days. Next time, I'm going to be adding like in every
Do
sentence.
you feel very
Um,
good, Dawn?
It'd be like you have to do this, and like, no, I'm not doing that. I hope I'm not going to do that today, but um, so the first thing you want to do is check the basics, and you want to make a routine where you just get a habit of it. Good example. I get up in the morning, right? I get their med. Hey, stop that! No biting the shoes. I hope I convinced him. You never know. Yeah, he's off. Um, so I get their medicine made, and then of course I go and talk. I turn the lights on and I go and talk to every bird. All right. There's a couple of birds I give medicine that are in the anteroom. I give them meds first, but I talk to them, I look at them, and just check the normal vitals. Do they look normal? Are they sitting where they usually are? I just look for any kind of change, anything that mm, looks a little off. I'm not looking for perfection, but if a bird's sitting on the bottom of the cage and it's panting, well, that's a problem, right? So I'm looking for that kind of thing. So when I go around, I before I give the medicine in the main room, I go up to every bird and say good morning and look at them. That's part of my exam to make sure that they look right, their eyes are okay, they're responding the way they usually do. I just look for any change. So the good morning routine that I do actually is part of my physical exam. I don't think of it that way. It's just become that, right? It's my way of making sure that everybody's looking okay. And I do occasionally catch things that are wrong. One morning I was doing that and I noticed that Sugar has a little bit of blood on her right shoulder. Okay, what we would call the shoulder, spot between the primary and secondaries. And so she had a blood feather there that she was messing with, and I had to take her in and pull it out. So there are little things I catch and then I come back to later that because they're not, life threatening. Um, but that's the first thing, that the first routine. Um, and then when I go back to give medication, I look at them a little deeper. As I'm giving the medication, I'm looking at their nares, I'm looking at their beak. I'll go into more detail, but I'm just doing what you can see from the outside. Okay, there's no touching involved. That comes later. That's usually in the midst of taking them out of their cage to bring them back here, just handling them a little bit when they put them on the perch to make sure that everything's okay. We'll go into the specifics. It doesn't take a lot of your time. I can do it with 12 birds. If I can do it with 12, you can do it with one or two, right? Right. Everybody say right. Um, in Japan, that would be height. Okay. Um, which is like, you're right. And yes, I will do it. But what do you do? Oh, he's chewing on a piece of wood. Oh, I can't imagine that. KK chewing a piece of wood. What an unusual behavior. Come here. Come on up. Well, come on. Here's the elevator. You big silly bird. So before you get to the touching, you're doing the visual scan, right? Are the eyes clear? There's no discharge from the nares. There's no crust on the nares. Bird's not all fluffed up. Not doesn't have any feathers that were chewed. There's no feathers missing. There's no feathers on the bottom of the cage, right? That look like they have blood on them. A feather comes out now and then with cockatoos, but um, usually two at a time. But you're looking for anything that doesn't look normal. Um, you look at their vent, you don't see any poop stains. You don't see any scales or weird looking spots on their feet. Um, no cracks on the beak. There's no flaking. Um, they aren't growing uneven. I have a situation where now Romeo is starting to grow one side of his beak off a little bit. Could be a vitamin A deficiency. He eats he won't eat much of the mash that I produce. He'll eat peanut butter and he eats some of the pellets. Basically, he eats pellets and peanut butter. So he might be missing something. I might have to give him an oral supplement of vitamin A or something. But he does seem to have on the left side of his beak, that side is growing up a little higher than the right side. So again, that's visual inspection last night when I caught it. So then you come to the light touch exam where you check the keel bone, okay? Because if that keel bone starts to feel really prominent, even if you're weighing your birds, which you should be doing, but even if you're weighing your birds and your bird staying a normal weight, if that keel bone starts to become prominent, you start to feel it. I mean, a change over time where it becomes more prominent. There's something going on. Okay, um, so there can be weight loss in one part of the body where it's not in the other. So they might be picking up more fat and losing muscle tone. So then you're going to have to go a little farther and dig in deeper. But then you check the wings. Okay, you lift them gently and check to make sure that everything's okay all the way around. That's pretty quick. Just look where the feathers connect to the body. That all looks good. You don't see any feather destruction, that kind of thing. Um, and you're doing this with your hand. Stop it! Do you have to attack my shoe? Climb up. Come on, climb up. No, you're not going to eat my shoe. No, you're not going to do it. Come up here. Come on. Come on. Oh, you're being stubborn. Come here. Come here. Stubborn. Hey, watch where you put your head. You get squished. You stuffed a ball behind my back. No, it's a cup. What are you doing back there? What are you doing? Eileen, was that planned by you two? Are you messing with me, you guys? So when you do the feather inspection, it's not much more than this, okay? Now you can see he does tend to do a little bit of destruction, but he's not on medicine yet. If it gets any worse, he will be, but we try not to give it to him unless we have to. But he's starting to get a little bit into here, so I might have to give him meds. But that's really it. You just look to make sure where it connects. There's no bleeding. There's no problems. We move on to the other wing. Not that quick. Now, you check the keel bone. You also, if the bird will allow you, you check the crop. You just run your fingers where the crop is, and you want to make sure that it's not getting hard. So you're doing this, right? You're just making sure it's not getting hard or it's not distended if they haven't just eaten. Or if they just ate and it's not, doesn't show that they have much food in there, you've got another issue, right? But so you just want to feel the crop, and then you check the legs, see that they move normally. I've already done that with him, but you basically just have him step up and, from one hand to the other, and you watch the movement. That's not too tough to do. You're looking for mainly for stiffness or any kind of abnormal behavior. Then you check the droppings, and newspaper is great for catching poop, but the problem with newspaper is that you sometimes it discolors the sample. So what I do at least once a week, right now I'm doing it all the time because I'm lazy and it works faster, and plus I can see the poop better. I have these blank newspaper sheets I get from Uline, and they're perfect because they catch everything. They're thin, but they still catch everything. It doesn't go through, and it gives you a good picture. You can see how much urine is there. You can see how much urates are there. The the stuff you can't see through. That's either white or sometimes it's almond color. Kind of a cream color. And then their poop. You can look to see that the actual feces is formed into nice little tubes, and the color is right, which is usually a medium light green, depending on the bird. So you want to make sure it's about equal. You don't want to have a huge flood of liquid. Of course, it can do that sometimes during the day if they drink a whole bunch of water. So um, just throughout the day, you're looking for that consistency, but look down and see if it looks normal. If it doesn't, log it in your head and look at the next one coming down. Change the paper and look at it coming out later. So, yeah, and if you start to see that problem throughout the day and the next day, well, it might be time to see the vet. Um, you're also looking for frequency, right? And any changes from day to day. When Cause was losing all that weight, I was checking her poop 3 times a day, taking pictures of it, having ChatGPT analyze it, and I was getting details on the analysis. And I watched it, and slowly over time, it got better and better. But I kept having to feed her, right? So I'm looking at her. She's not showing. Here's where you're looking, right? She's not showing any signs of wanting to eat, which is not like her at all. So after I had tried everything else, I took her off Haldol because I didn't really think it would be that, but because it normally only affects the appetite when you first start it. But as soon as I took her off Haldol, she started looking for the food dish. you know, so she's doing a little bit of feather destructive behavior, but she's gone from 404 grams, which is way too low for her. I did her weight this morning. Or last night, excuse me. Last night it was 442 grams. This morning it was 430. So, but there's more issues because of revision. So she's already had one shot of Celebrex. She's going to get another shot this weekend, and then we'll know for sure if she has it after the test comes back from the lab. So if she has avian ganglioneuritis, the shot should give her vision back. So I'm crossing my fingers. It's actually hoping it's that, because if it's blindness for some other reason, we got a long road to hoe and may not be able to solve it. So, but anyway, you're looking for changes, right? So you need to know what's normal. You got to set a baseline, right? You're going to look, and then at first you might want to take pictures and then look at the pictures one day to the next, one week to the next, and then you kind of get an idea what the changes are. You know, what kind of normal, what the normal baseline is, and when you see a change, then you can compare it and go with that comparison to help you make a decision. So,
Yeah, so let's create some more chatters. We have Jocelyn Triggle here and Rosebud Atkins. So hello to you both. And I already had a little chat with Jocelyn about her cockatiel Cinnamon. And she says Cinnamon likes head scratches, but won't let me touch her wings, because you were talking about exams and how it is important to train them to open their wings. So maybe you can give a little tip. So I guess when head scratches are already allowed, you probably can get into just slightly touching the tip of the wing with your tip of the finger, and then basically praise the bird after that or give it the favorite treat. What do you think, Don?
yeah, what I would do is with one hand, I can't obviously I've got a camera in one hand, but with one hand you present the favorite treat if it like sunflower seed. But the cockatiel, I'd cut a sunflower seed in half, right? Because when you're teaching this, but you can use a whole just the sunflower seed without the shell, and bring the sunflower seed up. This is called baiting. Let the bird see it, whatever it is it likes. It doesn't have to be a sunflower seed, but whatever it is it likes, bring it up. And then as you present them the sunflower seed, touch, just tap touch the wing like this. Just tap touch. Okay. And then over time, what you're going to do over the next few days, you're going to tap and hold longer until you can hold your finger there longer, until you can hold your finger, like you see this, until you can hold your finger and move another finger on, and then where you can put your hand on the wing. Yeah, just it's called desensitization, and you're going to do it with a physical treat, which it's a reward, but you're going to pair that with good or good bird. I usually use good bird, so good bird. You're going to do this tap, hand the seed, good bird, good bird, good bird, good bird, good bird, and then that's how you do it. And if you take that special food they like out of their diet, which is what you should do with the training food, the reinforcer, they're going to let you do it. They maybe not right in the beginning, they'll still be nervous, but they'll let you do it. Mander didn't like to have his wings touched, and now I can put them out. Sugar doesn't like to have her wings touched, but as you can see, I can get her to do it. And that's the technique I use, and it works. So doesn't work for you, just we'll work out something else. There are other solutions, but that's probably the best.
Jocelyn says she likes Nutri-berries. So do you think that is something um, as a training
Now they're
gift?
too big. That's too big
Okay.
because you're only going to be able to tap her once or twice because she's going to take the Nutri-berry and stand there and eat it. If she likes the millet, if she likes the millet in the Nutri-berry, Nutri-berries have a lot of millet, which I'm not sure is the best thing for them. I use them as treats. Bob gets a
Mm,
Nutri-berry every day in the morning at night, but because that's what he likes best. But um, so you find out what it is in there, which is probably the millet, and you can just like hand the bird just a couple of little millet's really small, just a couple of little things of millet each time. But a whole Nutri-berry is too big. Once they get full, once they've eaten, yeah, you're not going to be able to use that reward system anymore. The secondary reinforcer, which is the good bird, doesn't wear out over time, but you have to build it up. and you usually build it up by using that primary reinforcer, that rewards. So the primary reinforcer builds the secondary reinforcer. So, and the secondary reinforcer, where I pet Cecil and say "good bird," see, that works every time. But if he likes to have his head scratched. But you find something like this, you can do this almost every time. But when you have
Mhm.
something like food, don't fill them up, okay? Because it's gonna not gonna work for you. Once they get full, they'll tell you, look, I'm gonna pass on this one. So, and the other things you always want to check for, and I do this when I do the first nightly roundaround, or the nightly roundabout where I say good night. I also do it in the morning when I say good morning, right? I check for the basics. Any blood or swelling, any sudden lethargy. If they're refusing food, because I look at their food bowls, right? At night, I'm also running through changing their food bowls. They're not perching, or all of a sudden they have drastic changes in their poop, like KK when his poop turned red. It looked like dye to me. I was 99% sure, but I took a picture of it. And if you pay for ChatGPT, you can upload pictures and documents. So I uploaded a picture and I asked ChatGPT, and it said, "Well, there are no running lines in it." It went through describing everything. It said, "This looks like dye. This looks like food dye." And I looked in his bowl, and all the little red parts of the Supreme, they were gone. So, yeah. So if he eats the red, it goes right through him. Whatever they're using, it's probably a dye from beets or something. But whatever they use, it just comes right out in his poop. So when I see red poop from him, I always check it, but it's always dye, and it's not frequent because he doesn't usually eat the red ones. He eats the green ones, and they don't seem to change anything in his poop. So that's basically it. That's what I do every day. Every bird goes through that, and then when I do their nails and beaks time, then I get into checking the organs to make sure there's no organ growth, that kind of thing. That's a once a week kind of thing. So they get handled a lot. They're used to being handled. The one thing I didn't train them for, even though I have used it on them though, but I didn't train them for a stethoscope. So when the vet was here, she brought up the stethoscope. It was like, oh, what is that? No, you're not touching me with that thing. But I'm working on that with them now. So I'll always have a stethoscope on when I'm doing their nails, and they just get used to it. It's not something you use that frequently, but I need to make sure that they don't react to it. So, are you trying to be a doctor to see if if I'm going to respond, if my body's going to respond to being tapped on the knee? Is that what you're doing? So I hope that was a good explanation of you know a basic the basic things you do during the day to do an exam on them, and how it all adds up to a complete exam at the end of the day. So now I'll go to sleep. No, I mean, if you have any questions, shoot. Although, where the country I live in, you should never say shoot because somebody might. Probably Cecil because he's the Tyler Durden of the group, aren't you? I
Hi,
have a
Cecil.
cute, I have a cute picture of him holding a little water pistol in his. He's holding it up in his beak, and
Oh.
straight out of Fight Club, right? And then I put a
Mhm.
meme on the bottom of it that says that you met me at a strange time in my life.
Oh, Cecil. Yeah, such a cutie.
He was cute that day too. He let me. He put that water pistol in all different kinds of positions so I could take pictures of him.
Mm,
He was having fun playing with it. Of course, he finally just tore it apart, but I watched him so he didn't hurt himself. But
hmm.
that was his payment for letting me take pictures of him.
Oh, I just wonder what would happen if you give a load of these water bombs, a bucket of water bombs to some yellow crested ones, if they actually would throw them at some passerbys, people, or if they just basically pick it with the beak that it just the water comes out. No idea, but would be funny to see. So many
Yeah,
potential experiments.
I imagine if you did that in Australia, they would, and you showed them how to do it, they'd pick it up. That would be
Mm,
kind of funny if you left something out with a bunch of water bottles and they could be in a park and just drop them on people.
mhm.
It would be like when I was at the Land Animal Park in San Diego and the lorikeets would drop a different kind of bomb on people.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be
Yep.
kind of like that. Not quite as messy, but still fun.
We have ACOF boss in chat. So hello and welcome. And then we have
Hello.
KK the woodpecker.
I see on here the vet does the nails for $38. Yeah. Well, you're getting a vet to do it, which is a good idea. If you're not certain about doing it yourself, that's exactly what you should do. So you're doing the right thing. Um, it used to be that my recommendation was to never go into a bird store. And you can still get diseases there, okay? What we know now, though, you're not going to pick up PDD from going to a bird store. Um, it's not PDD anymore, it's AGN. And we now know it's an autoimmune disease and that birds have probably had this virus in them for a long time, maybe 1,000 years, because it doesn't usually do anything except hide inside the nucleus of the brain cells. It's just if it comes out, if you get sick and it comes out down through the nerve and it starts to spread, it causes an autoimmune response. So I used to say don't go into a bird store, but still, a vet knows what they're doing. Bird stores, they're going to make money. Vets make money too, of course, but they're actually there to care for your bird. So you're doing the right thing. Of course, if I had to pay $38 per bird, that would be kind of tough. But you've got one bird, so that's fine. Just take $38 and multiply it times 12, right? Over $400 to get their nails done. And they're different too. So I mean, with Cosmo, if I'm doing Cosmo's nails, I have to be careful. I can't cut them. I have to only cut them a tiny bit every time, or she bleeds. She bleeds easily. Um, Bob just pretends like he's hurt. He always makes that sound like he's been hurt when you clip his nails, but he doesn't bleed. Once in a while, I'll catch him where he bleeds.
I
But
think last time he had a little bleeding.
yeah, he did. When you were watching, he
Mm.
did. That doesn't usually happen, but it's not. The thing is, you can't tell the depth. I try to cut a little bit and cut a little more, but with Bob, that's hard to do because he'll let
Mm.
me basically do each nail one time. Then I give him a peanut butter stick, and then I get him on the scale after he's finished that. And then I put him in his cage, give him a peanut butter stick. He won't let me cut his nails unless I reward him. So well, he's the only one I have that issue with. KK has to be in a collar to do that, but he'll let me do his beak. Yeah, you do. You let me do your beak. I don't know why that is. Yeah, doesn't seem to bother him when I do this, but if I go for his nails, Now they're all different. Lucy's nails grow in a. I'm doing nails today, but Lucy's nails tend to grow in a harder circle or a tighter circle than most. So, and hers are a little sensitive, so I'll cut two, three times to get down to where just where it's getting ready to bleed. And it makes her nails look longer because they're in that tight circle. The other thing about having someone else cut the toenails, which of course, if you can have a vet do it, that's still the best way. But the thing about cutting nails is they're all different. So where you might cut one bird's nails relatively short, you some other birds you can't do that. With Lorelei, you do not want to do that. She doesn't grow. Her nails don't grow long. They just grow sharp. So I'm just cutting off a tiny portion of the tip because they never overgrow. No idea why, but they don't. What are you doing down there, you monster? Yeah, if you go into a bird store, what they're going to do is they're going to cut them too short, and the reason they do that is because they the thought behind that is probably, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing is that if they don't cut them a lot for the customer, and the customer has to come back the next week, the customer is going to be upset. I don't cut them that much. I cut them more frequently, and leave them a little longer because they go around rope. You know, a 90-degree angle is about right. But in a pet store, they'll cut them down to to an 80 or a 70-degree angle, for capitalist reasons. I don't cut them real short; they won't come back. I just no, that's not right. So vets do the best job. What sugar? Oh, you want me to pet your beak, even though it's in the middle of a meeting? All right, we'll come over here then. All right. She was giving me that look. Please pet my beak. Please.
Oh, Shuggy, good bird.
She's such a sweet girl. Won't sit on me, but she's a sweet girl.
Mm.
All right, baby. Are you
Well, in the
asleep?
aviary, she likes to hang around you pretty close now. Not sitting on you, but basically hanging directly behind you, or
Yep.
sitting on the lean of your chair.
Yeah, she does that out there. You won't be out there for a while though. It's not even summer. It's going to be 40 degrees centigrade today. It's like 107 outside. We won't get another cool day probably until fall.
Hmm.
I know the meteorologists are saying, well, it's the beginning of, July, that's summer. They're wrong, but that's okay. It's the 21st, but
It is, but for data things and because of Excel, we have the meteorological summer begin and real summer begin.
yeah, I like to actually follow the real seasons myself,
You
but
can do that. I think most people do anyway.
yeah, I think
And
so.
The thing is, in some areas, it's also somehow that the seasons seem to collapse. I mean, sometimes there isn't even a real spring or a real fall here. It's basically just summer, 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 a little bit of winter, kind of, and then summer again.
Well, when I lived in California, where I lived, we have the wet and dry season.
Mm.
Out here, it's we have the hot with cold, well, not hot, but warm with cold nights. That's winter, and then hot with uh, hotter with hot days. Hotter nights with hot days. Um, I think
Mm.
on Neighborhood, that app, there was someone saying, "Well, we gave away all of our, all of our warm clothes when we moved here," and somebody went, "Yeah, you don't know about desert nights, do you? You just learned. Yeah, desert nights in the winter can get pretty cold." I knew about that because my grandmother and my grandfather, they had a house up in the high desert, and my grandmother was a fanatic for keeping the windows open. So it didn't matter how cold it was in the winter. We'd go up there for Christmas, and it would be, it would be below zero in temperatures, and the windows are open, so we're under 600 tons of blankets, and you get up in the morning and you run. You stay in your clothes, of course, because you're trying to stay warm. You run into the living room where they had the fireplace and stand in front of the fireplace, or in the kitchen where the stove was going.
We just had a little road call in chat. Jocelyn says it's 19 degrees in Florida and feels like 100. And Calvin says my shop thermometer verifies 90 degrees. And then we have Spirit Matters saying, hi, all, just lurking today. Hi, Spirit. Oh, and
Hi,
Jem and
Spirit.
Jamie is also showing up. So, hello. Great
Hi,
to have
Jem and
you.
Jamie. Hello.
Sugar says, hi.
She says, "I'm getting my beak cut in the middle of a meeting. I'm the queen here. I can do whatever I want." Yeah, you're in charge. I know. Little girl. Yeah, so when you're doing these exams, you just kind of add it to your day, and just you have the quick visual exam, and then you have the actual, where you get a little closer and check things out, and then you actually touch exam, and you just make that part of your day. Look for things that aren't the same as yesterday. That's when I saw Snowball, he had that section there, you might say, like the top of the beak there, they have just a little bit of uh, the same kind of tissue that they have on their feet. And I saw that it was curling up on both sides, and there was a little redness. And then by the next day, that whole piece had fallen off. And I was dealing with a couple of exposed areas. Uh, Took the pictures and handed them up to ChatGPT to make sure I was doing what, I mean, I was putting Silverine on it, but to make sure that was the right protocol, you needed to go into the vet right away. It's not easy to get in here for that, but you can in an emergency. But no, it's one of those, just watch them and make sure if it was weeping any kind of fluid, if there was any blood, if there was any sign that there of fungus or a bacterial infection, then yeah, it would be to the vet. But keep an eye on it twice a day. Put Silvadene on it. Yeah, it looks better today. So what are you doing? And if you're not sure, you may take a picture so the next day you can compare it. I've got SDAM, so SDAM. So I definitely take a picture so I know that I've got it a good comparison there. But I also have ChatGPT line up the pictures and keep them on file in its memory so it can tell me this looks better or worse according to what it's looking at. So, and I know that people are, like, oh, AI, this, and yeah, these are the same kind of attitudes we had when I was a kid and hand calculators came out. Oh, we shouldn't use those, it's going to make our minds weaker. And now we're way beyond hand calculators, right? Everybody's got a phone, but they're like, oh, but I don't want to use the AI. Yeah, okay. Then the people who use AI are just going to get out ahead of you. That's all right. There's good uses for it and bad uses for it, but we stick to the ones that help the birds, don't we? Yeah, we do. Yeah. It can help you for feeding them. It can help check to see, if you see something, it can tell you what it is, so that you know what you're dealing with. I just recently had it tell me something horrible. Ever since I was a kid, I loved avocados, right? Just absolutely love them. And I know somebody who's just trying them for the first time. But I asked, I asked ChatGPT, with because it knows the physical problems I have, including my kidney disease, and are avocados okay for me? And I got a big no. There's too much potassium. Your kidneys will have trouble passing that much potassium. So no, you should avoid it. So I looked it up in my dietary app, and yeah, avocados are just too much potassium for me.
For the ordinary person, potassium is usually healthy, isn't it?
Yep, yep. Normally it is.
Huh.
I mean, there's limits. You can still. I mean, the average person could get too
Yeah,
much, but it's
of
highly
course
unlikely.
you can kill yourself with water as well if you
Right.
overdo it.
Yep, yep. Yeah, you can. It happens actually in mental
Yeah,
institutions, which I guess we got rid of in the U.S. because of some idiot who was married to a particular president. But yeah, I mean, they'll drink so much water that it'll literally kill them. So yeah, potassium is good for you in most cases. As long as you got magnesium to balance it out, your body needs both. It's part of
yeah,
you can't even contract a muscle without it. So, but I'm not supposed to
mm.
eat them because they're too high in potassium for me because of my kidney disease.
Hmm. Jem and Jamie just donated $10 to us, so thank you so much for that, Jem
Oh,
and Jamie. And that means we have to play you a little video.
yeah, we like to play that video.
We do.
Thank you, Jim.
The cute man there.
Yeah.
And the
He's been,
QC.
he's been, well, I fell asleep in here. I've been up. I had trouble sleeping one night and I fell asleep and I had Mander on my lap. I woke up about, it was just him and like four other birds in here. But I fell asleep. Half hour I wake up and he's still on my lap.
So cute.
He was not much of a lap bird prior to this, so I don't know what that's all about, but I see I
Oh,
still have.
mighty Ross from Jasmine back there. She senses
Oh,
that the live stream is over pretty soon.
trying to
Bird.
change bird. I'm trying to change the camera there, big bird. Come on.
Oh, the KK bird wants to say something to the people. Bossy. Hi, KK. Hello. Hello, hello. KK
Okay,
bird.
okay.
Are you the KK bird? Are you a good bird? Bra, bra, bra. Oh, he's a cuddler.
Oh,
Cuddly KK bird.
Cecil. Cecil's getting jealous. He's over here patting my arm, so I'll pet him.
Mm.
Uh-huh. I know about you, jealous bird. You know.
Wants to get involved, huh, Cecil? Mm.
Sugar. Sugar's crying. She's whining.
Mm.
Well, I just petted you for a whole long time there. It's just not enough, huh?
Nope, it's never enough.
What are you doing? Oh, I have to pet you? I do? Okay.
Thank you, Falconsu. She says, don't forget to like this video. So yeah, we appreciate when you like our video, when you push this thumb up button. And if you haven't yet, you can also push the subscribe button.
Oh,
Training.
where? Oh, yeah. Are you going to do that to me again? I got to pet you? I have to pet you while you're preening? Is that what you're telling me?
Probably. He wants to make one big... What is the KK? A big KK bird?
Okay, bird.
I understood the words big and bird.
Bird. Bird. Well, don't forget, we do have merchandise that Amy worked hard on, and you can get there from our link tree. Everything else to say, KK?
They prefer to brain, and Sugar prefers to give you the death stare if you're not pet her immediately.
I don't know, Shug.
Such a cute shuk bird. The cutest sugar on earth.
Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Amy, for moderating.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Thank you, Don, for having us.
Our pleasure, right, KK? It says, I'm preening. Don't bug me. I'm preening.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower. Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.